You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.
Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk Sunday Stream of Consciousness. How's everybody doing today? Let me get the comments back up here. Great to be back in the studio. Last week we were remote from Mystic Seaport in Connecticut. Beautiful weekend with the family. Rented a house, had a great Friday night, Saturday, Sunday. Came home Monday morning and went back to work. Ugh. Anyway, very dreary weekend up here in the Northeast. Hot, humid, and rainy. Thunderstorms today. It's been a hot and humid summer, but I'm not going to attribute that to anything other than it's summer. I want to welcome everybody watching this morning. Got TGI Sports Talk's Facebook page, our YouTube page. We aren't live on Twitter anymore, guys. We do share the shows. Actually, I didn't share the last couple shows to Twitter later, but Twitter won't let us go live unless we pay. And right now, we're not going to do that. We'll see. Maybe we'll change that opinion. Depends on what level I got to get in at. But we're also live on Roku, on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel. I'll have some videos. Max sent me some videos for people to upload and whatever. We'll play them at some point. It's not that hard, guys. If you have a Roku app or Roku TV, if they have such a thing, I'm not sure if they do. I think they do. A smart TV with a Roku app installed. Just go look for the National Streaming Sports channel. Actually, you might want to look still for Northeast Streaming Sports. I don't know if he's changed that or yet not. I'll check on that. But download it. A lot of great content. Not just this show, but a lot of great content. Thumbs up, DDH. Quick shout out to Ralph Williams over there at RW Media, doing some great stuff out of Pittsburgh, specifically the Sports Corner with Smoking Jim Frazier, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern every Tuesday night. And the three groups I want to give a shout out to, and I've tried to every show now, Flo and the gang over there at the Bottom Line Sports line. Bottom Line Sports? Bottom Line Sports. Sorry about that, Flo. Greg Rawlings at America's Favorite Pastime. America's Pastime. Boy, I'm having trouble with names today. Should have wrote them down, right? America's Pastime, the love for baseball. And, of course, John Gonzalez, the great John Gonzalez, who comes in and joins us. Flo joins us from time to time on Sundays as well. John Gonzalez from the Sports Authorities. I know a bunch of you, including Drew, have really jumped into that. Couple of stories we'll jump into. Good morning, Rick Sherlock. And Rick mentions the Mohawks come back from 8-0. And I believe the final, right? It was the final game, winner go home. The Amsterdam Mohawks, who we talked about here in the Collegiate Perfect Game League. And they did that, if I'm not mistaken. Was that at home or on the road? I don't remember. I'm guessing, I think you said you were there, so I'm assuming it was at home. Your show today, guys. So, take the topics away. We'll try to wrap it up around. We're getting closer. We only went about 5 minutes over last week. Still can't share the show on the midnight portion or the midnight replay, but we'll get there. We're getting closer. A couple things just to prime you a little bit. The Olympics. What are you thinking about the Olympics? I wasn't excited going in, especially after the opening games, but we watched a lot yesterday. Katie Ledecky's a great story. Obviously, Simone Biles is a great story. The female 100 meter sprinter from St. Lucia gets St. Lucia's first gold medal. After the U.S., by the way, got their first women's gold medal in rugby this week. Can't read my writing there. The Algerian boxer, I don't even know how to address this. I mean, the argument is about the transgender thing, but again, all evidence seems to point that this is a woman. Wish I could read that because I'll bet you it's something I really wanted to talk about. Men's basketball, I guess they're into the a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun watching track and field and swimming yesterday. Little gymnastics. First day I really watched much. Baseball, Ohtani's already 30 for 30. It's August 4th, guys. he's probably going 40-40 unless he gets hurt easy. And I'm not even sure if we've had a 50 for 50 guy. Where's Drew? Drew with us today? Somebody check this out. I can check it out. I'll check it out after. If we bring that topic up. Trout out for the season again. Very sad. We got into not an argument, a debate about, Trout should just walk away. Trout's not walking away. Trout's body's betrayed him, and I think it's sad because he's a great, great player, and you can't help but think what would have been for himself, the fans, the Angels organization. It's very sad. Gleyber Torres cost the Yankees a run. Probably not the game, but a run. Well, who knows? We don't know what would have happened if they'd actually scored a run. He hadn't been thrown out from first when he should have been from trying to score for first and a double by Volpe, I think. Sorry, something went down the wrong way there. But Gleyber doesn't hustle to first base. Doesn't get a double when he should have been standing up at second base. And Boone finally pulls him out of the game. Not immediately, by the way. I didn't taking him off first base. Don't wait an inning and then say, we need to do something. So even when Boone does the right thing, he does the wrong thing. Just ridiculous. Any trade deadline thoughts? Drew Ehrlich and I went through the trade deadline pretty much team by team Friday on a Major League Baseball update. But any of you guys who didn't see that can certainly make any comments. The White Sox now at 124 game. I wish it was 142. That'd be great. 124 game season loss, which would set the record by 4. The White Sox also have lost 19 in a row. The record is 23 in a row by the Phillies in 1961. Let's go, White Sox. NFL, we can talk about Hard Knocks. I've liked it a lot. The Hall of Fame inductions yesterday, we can talk about who they were and I guess worthiness. Very moving with the Steve McMichael thing. If you don't know, he's suffering from ALS and I would say does not have much time left. The game itself, the Hall of Fame game, these teams don't have time to prepare. Nobody played, but a lot of guys who won't be around in a month. And the new kickoff rules, does anybody understand them? We can look at them. They're stupid, by the way, to start with. Yeah, I know they want to get kickoffs back in it's part of the game. It's an exciting part of the game. I'm coming right to your comments in a second, guys. Anyway, buzzer on the NFL, the rookie quarterbacks. Who do you expect to do well? Who do you expect to sit and maybe even fail? And college football will be starting. I think we'll be back Wednesday with the college football huddle as we're getting close. We got week 0 coming up on the 24th, only 20 days away. So yeah, we'll get in. We'll be back Wednesday night with the college football huddle at 7:00. So be watching for that. Georgia has another issue with a player. Again, you start to think institutional control when things start to pile up. Let me get to some comments here. And by the way, that's just a few things on top of my mind, guys. We can talk about anything. Good morning, Chris. You're rather baffled that James Van Riemsdyk, spelling, my pronunciations, we don't know which would be worse. Yours could be verified. Is still a free agent. I'm curious now if he's leading towards retirement, being this quiet. Quite honestly, I got to look him up. I don't know who we're talking about. And it could be 60. Probably sometimes I see these things and then I know who we're talking about. But there he is. Oh, hockey player. I figured he was a hockey player, Chris. 35 years old. Played with the Bruins last. Getting late. A lot of these guys will sign in training camp, though. So now I remember the name. It's funny. A lot of these hockey guys, I don't recognize the name until I go look at them. Hello, Carlton. Good to have you with us. Carlton might be new with us. I don't know if you've watched this before or not, Carlton, but welcome to the show. You're free to comment. Sundays is a freewheeling thing, man. It's literally the stream of consciousness. We run off the audience's comments. Just reminds me, I owe Mac a new promo reel for Roku on the shows. And since Carlton's new, hopefully you're still here. We do this show on Sundays. We do this college football huddle on Wednesdays at 7:00 p.m. Friday, we have the one-on-one with Keith Engle interview show, which, by the way, thanks to Mike Bass last week. Very good interview with Mike Bass, former great player, cornerback with the Redskins Hall of Famer. And we have Brian McRae coming up this week, former Major League Baseball outfielder, very solid player. His dad was a great player too. And then we do, what else do we do? The MLB update at 3, that's at 9 o'clock Friday morning. It's all Eastern time, Carlton. The MLB update at 3 p.m. And we guest on several other shows on the national streaming sports network and sometimes on Let's Talk Sports as well. You're on with Flo at the bottom line. I talk about you guys. I mention you guys all the time, Carlton. Glad to have you with us this morning. As I said, I'm glad you told me where you're from. You guys do some great stuff too. I've shared a couple shows. I keep reminding Flo, and I'll tell you, can't send me. I think if you try to share it to my TGI Sports Talk page, it'll prompt me to do it. I've shared a couple of your shows when I've thought to go back and do it. But please do it. Flo and Carlton and the guys do a great job with the bottom line sports show. It's really, really well done. I like what they do. I like it's funny. They have, I don't know, what do you have on there, Carlton? You guys have 3-4 guys, which is great. It's a great show. And it's the same thing when I guest on national streaming sports on any of those shows. There's as many as 6 people in the studio at sometimes, and it's a lot of fun getting the debate going. I like this format, and I do have some guests like on I do the one-on-one show, obviously, which is an interview show, but college football will bring in Larry Sorensen from time to time, Jim Behringer from time to time. But I like my audience is my co-host, and I love rolling this way. But I'm glad you're with us, Carlton. I tried to, and I forgot, I think on Friday when I did my open, to mention you guys. I've been trying to mention you guys specifically, and also John Gonzalez at the Sports Authorities, and also Greg Rawlings at America's Pastime all the time, because all the groups are very friendly to this show and allowing me to share content and really driving up the views, and it's been awesome. But specifically these 3 shows I like to mention week in and week out now. Rick retired it on the DL. I've watched more than I ever have. Oh, as far as the Olympics go, thank you for saying DL, Rick, because IL just drives me crazy, as you know, because I really don't think disabled list really offends a lot of people, but baseball does, apparently. It's been fun. I mean, we also had a little bit of I think a couple Chinese players now have been accused of doping, including one who I think won a medal in swimming yesterday. So been very interesting. Danny Fuller's with us early out in California. He's thanking Chris F. Grave for the link. Good morning, Danny. Good to have you with us. Danny, Chris, Jesus, boy, they've really become great contributors to our show. Great to have them with us. And that's not taking anything away from you long timers like Rick and Kenny and Drew, Billy, Anthony, guys that aren't with us yet, but probably will be some point through the morning. Jose Canseco recently spoke of never going 40 for 40 again. Coaches wanted to protect him and stop him giving him the steal sign. That happens a lot in guys' career. They stop running. Mike Trout's a great example of that. He stopped running, and for obvious reasons. Ohtani, the first time he gets hurt stealing. He's never stolen bases like this in his career. I was checking. He had some, modest stolen base totals. But again, the changes to the rules have made stealing bases much easier. Remember, people forget, we talk about throwing over to first base only so many times. Once you've thrown over there twice, you've obviously got a green light, even once. Because I'm thinking, the guy's not going to throw over here again, or I could just walk to second base after that. But making the bases bigger diametrically changed the game, because it's no longer 90 feet between bases. And if you think that doesn't matter, if you think an inch or two doesn't matter, just think about all the bang plays you watch at first base and second, all the bases, whether it's on steals or, infield, potential infield hits. That inch or two makes a lot of difference, man. Anyway. White Sox won't set the record. For which one? Losing 23 in a row or 124 losses? They're on a pretty good pace. I track this every year. I find a team. The last three, since I've been doing this 4 years, there's been somebody who's been on a pace. It's been the Marlins. It's been the A's mostly. And by the way, why do the Marlins even have it? Why are they even fielding a team? Every time they have any success, and they didn't have any success last year, by the way. Well, whatever. They weren't this bad. They just dismantled the team. They're never going to be any good. Never. They have a good GM, first women GM in history, whose name's escaping me, and I can't say her last name correctly anyway. But they fire her. They move on. They force Jeter out. When things start to go in the right direction, they force out management that's getting it in the right direction. They force out the players that are helping them move on the field. Why do they even do it? As far as the White Sox go, this might be the first time I really thought somebody could do it. It's the first time this late. I'm pretty sure that in July, most of the teams that I've tracked the last 4 years have moved behind a pace for the record. White Sox are picking up a pace. And I will say I'll say, you may not be wrong, Danny. This is not a foregone conclusion because you go on a 5-game winning streak, all of a sudden the pace is gone. But if they break the record of 23 straight, which is within their grasp, they're only 4 away. I think they'll make a run at that 121 losses they need to break the record, set by the 1962 Mets. By the way, I'm reading a biography right now, Ed Kranepool. Very, very interesting. A 99-cent buy on Kindle. I love those deals, man. It's almost free. Good morning, Drew. Good to have you with us. As I was talking about, Drew and I did an MLB update. Drew was with me, and we reviewed all the trade deadline stuff. Any guys that weren't with us, you want to bring up some stuff there, you're certainly welcome to do so. What was this? Oh, by the way, the other thing in baseball too, Tigers have retired Jim Leyland's number 10 yesterday. Jim Leyland's I talked about this last week. We had the NFL Hall of Fame this week, and if you guys want to chat about that at all, let me just take a quick look at who was brought in here. I find it relevant only because, crap, did I not bring it back up? I know Steve McMichael, I know Dwight Freeney, Andre Johnson. Here it is. Bear with me 1 second. So yesterday we had Devin Hester. A lot of debate on some other shows have been about whether kick returners should be in. Yes, it's an important part of the game, or at least it used to be. So Freeney, Hester, Andre Johnson, Julius Peppers, Steve McMichael. Again, very by the senior committee, by the way. Very moving induction for Steve McMichael, who sadly likely doesn't have much time left on this plane, suffering from ALS, and very sad to see. A lot of players. This has happened to a lot of players. We saw Steve Gleason recently at the ESPYs, and he's held on longer than many people do. But anyway, I brought it up because in that group, I'm okay. I think everybody there is deserving. Julius Peppers, I might raise an eyebrow at. But in baseball, Jim Leyland, well, I don't want to say doesn't belong, but, where are the other guys who are on the same plane as Jim Leyland? Lou Piniella won more games, won as many World Series. Billy Martin, higher winning percentage, turned every team he went to around. Now, he left in amid chaos pretty much every time. There was a couple other guys that I had thought of at the time that are escaping me now. Tom Kelly, 2 world championships in Minnesota when this team was talking about being contracted not a little bit before and not long after. So anyway, Chris says, welcome, Carlton. Where are you tuning in from? Who's your team? Where are you, Carlton? I know you're with the Bottom Line Sports Show, but I got focused on that, and Chris bailed me out in 2 questions I didn't ask. Good morning, JB. JB from the Back It Up Binge podcast. Catch his stuff on YouTube. Our resident Orioles fan. How do we stand today? I haven't even looked at the standings. I know we won last night. Didn't get your score. Still tied, and both teams have a 1-game winning streak. 5-5 in the last 10, JB. You're starting to pick it up. Here's an oddball name, Roger Clemens. Happy birthday to Roger Clemens. Let me bring up, and actually very appropriate for the conversation I just had about the Hall of Fame. You know, I'm going to bring this up again. I bring it up every now and again, especially when somebody's name comes up like Roger Clemens. I do remember him with the Astros and a little bit with a team with pinstripes, and another one that, you know, I hate with every fiber of my being. Roger Clemens has got to be in the Hall of Fame. Barry Bonds got to be in the Hall of Fame. I'm not saying you ignore what they did. I'm saying you put them in and you put on their plaque, warts and all, everything they did. Same with Pete Rose. I mean, you put Big Papi in. Big Papi was certainly on that list of suspected steroid users. Again, the problem is you don't know who didn't use them. There's a list of guys that the commission thought did use them, but that wasn't everybody. So again, you can't have a Hall of Fame without some of the best players in baseball, especially with some of the guys we let in now. And get Veda Pinson in there. How about that? MLB needs to address the strike zone calls. Holiday got punched out in 2 games with balls so far outside, it was embarrassing. You know what? You know, JB, yes, there needs to be more consistency, but there's always been inconsistency in strike zones, right? Umpires have their own strike zones. Unfortunately, but you have to know as a player, you've got to know what that guy's strike zone is. Now, if that same ball was called a strike all night long, well, then I'm okay. I know that guy's strike zone. Unless it's just egregious, like some guys. I don't want to bash umpires. I'm trying not to bash umpires as much because I mentioned Greg Rawlings' group and America's Pastime, the love for baseball. He had a ton. There are tons, by the way, former major league players in that group. Got to be hundreds. And a lot of umpires were there and a lot of left. Including a good friend of this show, Dale Scott, who we did a great interview with a couple of years back. Most umpires do a great job. Some are just atrocious. I don't want to see robot strike zones. I don't want to even see replay as much as I see it. I don't want to automate the game. Because for long, we want to see players. We'll just see, we just might as well play it on a Kim Eng. Thank you, Drew. I knew Drew would bail me out there. I knew it was NG, but I didn't want to say NG, the former. She did a great job in Miami, by the way. A great job. And Jeter was doing a good job being at the helm of that organization and heading in the right direction. They just blow it all up. But they do that all the time. Why even have a team? Why don't you just sell it and let them move somewhere like Nashville that's dying to have a team? And maybe you would try to win. Thank you, Danny. Kim Eng. It's funny. How would I get Eng for? Well, I won't even say her name. I don't know her nationality. I was going to say Chinese, and it's probably wrong. She's probably Korean. But again, one of you guys probably know that answer. Well, morning, Kenny, up on the mountain. Kenny Gifford out there in Bleecker Mountain, right? I got that right. Bleecker Mountain. No, not Bleecker. Is it Bleecker? I think it's Bleecker. Yankees are still tied for first, but they're so bad per Keith Eng. Well, listen, stop it. Were they bad for a while or were they not? I'm going to tell you right now, Danny, I'm not changing my stance. I never said they were bad, by the way. What I said was, I had to keep Sunday. You don't have to ask for forgiveness. It's fair. It's fair. JB called me out for ripping my team. I'm always going to rip my team if I see things that are wrong. I never said they were bad. I say I see danger signs that, and I still see them, by the way. Where's the pitching? Where's the starting pitching that we're going to rely on through the rest of this year and into the playoffs, by the way? We still rely too much on home runs. We got guys that don't hustle. We pull them from games after we let them play another inning or whatever. Yes, boom, thank you. We pulled him out and told him why. But he's playing again now. Sit him for a freaking week. Or just get rid of him. I'm tired of watching this stuff. Starting pitching is scary. I got into it before the trade deadline. I said we need starting pitching. I had a guy from one of the Yankee groups message me. What do you see we need? Second base, third base, outfield, pitching, starting pitching. Not one starting pitcher comes in here. Cole's got total body fatigue. I'm a little worried. I've said for a while, I wouldn't doubt that Cole's arm is not right. Said that he might get surgery when he first got hurt. I'm still sticking by the fact you may still see him have surgery this year. I want to be wrong, but I look at my team not with rose-colored glasses. You're never going to see me come on like a lot of guys come on these shows and back, we don't have a Yankee-based team. Yeah, we talk about the Yankees a lot. We talk about all your teams, the people that are in the room. I'm always going to be very honest about what I see about my team. I'm never going to tell you they're going to go 162-0. I'm never going to tell you they're going to win the World Series just because I want them to. I didn't pick them to win the World Series. I picked Baltimore to beat the Dodgers. I'm going to give you my real opinion and then root to be wrong. I don't want to be right. I want my Yankees to do well. I want the Patriots to do well. But I'm going to give you a realistic view. So if I tell you, my team has a chance to do this, you're going to know it's not just pie in the sky thinking because I'm a fan. Maybe I'll defend certain things probably more than a non-fan would, and subconsciously maybe even. But so anyway, you're okay to call me out. You don't have to apologize. Danny, you're the best. Danny, you're getting up at 5 a.m. to watch a show. Well, 5 a.m. you were on the big football show when I was guesting there at 8 o'clock. So God bless you. JB, crazy fact came across the other day. Nolan Ryan, 27-year career, only 8 All-Star games. Again, that is a bit of it surprises me, and it doesn't. I mean, there aren't a lot of guys that play in more than 8 All-Star games, number one. Number two, there's always pitchers that have great first halves. I don't know how many he said I don't want to go to. I had a great meme I put up. I wish I could find it quickly about Nolan Ryan at age 45 had already pitched 47 or 5,000 innings, and he went on to throw, strike out 16 and get his 7th no-hitter shortly after there. And it was a great cautionary tale for young pitchers. Listen, Nolan Ryan is one of my favorite players of all time. No tougher competitor, and I'm not saying he's the toughest competitor. There's no tougher competitor that I can think of in all of baseball. You can think whatever you want of Nolan Ryan. A lot of people think he's overrated. I do not. Nolan Ryan did not play in a lot of great teams. He holds records that will never be broken. Not the way we pitch guys today, right? Nobody's going to get to 5,000 strikeouts. Nobody's going to pitch 7 no-hitters. I think he's one of the toughest guys ever. Still love him beating the crap at 40-plus years old, beating the crap out of a 23-year-old Robin Ventura, 24-year-old Robin Ventura, whatever he was. Awesome. Awesome picture. Him pitching with blood running down his face after he got hit in the face with a light drive. The way they pick the new umpires is a joke. It's all about where. Well, was that always the case or not, Kenny? I'm going to assume from that. And again, I don't I'm not going to pretend I know how they pick the umpires. Kenny, who's done this, and again, Kenny, you can share with us if you want. I know you umpired a lot of high school. I don't know if you umpired above that level or not. I know that you may very well have. But Kenny did this and did it well, and I'll defer to his comment here. I don't know how we pick umpires. I do know that they're scored on their accuracy in the strike zone, all of them, and overall the scoring's pretty good. I'm assuming Kenny, having been an umpire, is not in favor of, robot umpires, if you will, or robo strike zones. By the way, those have been known to fail a higher percentage of the time on balls and strikes than the real umpires. Overall, the problem with umpiring is, I don't know how many there are, but there's got to be at least 120, 150 umpires. I don't know, because there's got to be guys who fill in. I don't know the total number, but you get 3 or 4 or 5 who are high profile and are really bad. And it makes you think all of them stink, and they don't all stink. Most of them are doing a really good job, which is why, I took a little umbrage at one point with when Dale Scott was very upset. And again, I like Dale. He's a really, really good guy. Was a very good umpire, but you can't stick up for everybody in your profession if they're making the rest of your profession look bad. I wouldn't want that. And, when you have unions and whatnot, it protects those guys. What are you going to do? Umpires have always been held to accountability. I remember a crazy Blue Jay game when Vic Carpazza, where he blew a few calls, but took it personally and went bonkers. You never did see so many ejects. It is funny that umpires do, and this has been going on for like 3 decades. Umpires engage with players and managers more than they used to. They don't try to defuse things. They try to, a lot of times they throw it. Not everyone. And I do think they've held to accountability. Guys lose postseason assignments because, again, Kenny may know better more than I know here. I don't know. For a long while, umpires did playoff games and World Series based on a rotation, right? Not who was the best. I believe now there is some merit involved in who gets to umpire the biggest games. That's what makes this a great show, Keith. Thank you for that. Honest comments and great chatter. And no, Orioles not going to the World Series. I'm sticking by it for whatever reason. I don't know why. 7-4 lead last night, bottom of the 9th. High-pitched Cano, not Kimbrel. Yeah, I think this is the problem, number one, that's your choices, JB. I'm not a big Kimbrel fan. Kimbrel has been in his career either very good or atrocious. Very little in between. So, I don't know. Listen, I know 2 years ago. 2 years ago? When did the Orioles make their ascent? Wasn't last year, right? They were very good the year. They around Memorial Day 2 years ago. Not last year, but 2 years ago. That preseason, I had Hyde projected as one of my most likely managers to be fired early. They got off to an atrocious start and played great baseball from let's just say Memorial Day-ish on. I think he's done a great job there. And I think the Orioles have built this team the right way, but they've left themselves vulnerable in certain places. Closer's one of them. Closer's especially when you get to the playoffs, bullpen is so important. That's why you see so many teams looking to trade at the deadline. You see relief pitchers getting traded right and left, people trying to line up their bullpen and be stronger as we make a push for the playoffs and then into the playoffs. Closer is so important. I've said this 100 times. Sorry, probably 1,000 times. During the Yankees dynasty, latest dynasty in the late 90s, 96 to 2000 and 2001, even though they lost in 2001. They won 4 out of 5 World Series. Well, 4 out of 6. Sorry. But 4 out of the 5 they were in. The MVP, there were great players on that team, right? Derek Jeter, obviously. Bernie Williams, Paul O'Neill, Posada, Pettit, Clemens at different times. The MVP of that whole run was Mo Rivera because he was he's unhittable most of the time anyway, but he was unhittable in the playoffs. And the Yankees always knew they were going to win. Now, there would be blips in the radar, like against Arizona in Game 7, 2001. But Mo Rivera was just when you were ahead, 96, 98. Those were 6 inning games for the Yankees because all they had to do was be ahead after 6 innings, and they had guys for the 7th, the 8th, and then you got Mo. Games were over. Get ahead in 6 innings. That was their model for a long time, and it was effective. And mostly because you had that guy at the end that you knew you could count on every night. You got to count on guys like Kimbrel. It's not a sure thing. And a lot of guys today are the same way. There's nobody with the kind of consistency Mo had. Good morning, Dave Guyette up in Amsterdam. Speaking of the Yankees, great Yankee fan. Dave's a big Yankee fan, Buffalo fan, Syracuse Orangeman fan. College football guys back in 3 weeks, week 0. There's an interesting game in week 0, by the way. In Florida State and Georgia State, sorry, I think is a very interesting game, even though Florida State's double-digit favorites. What's going on in Georgia, by the way, Rick? You're very quiet on this subject. Then another guy who I believe Kirby kicked off the team a few weeks ago had an infraction. I think it was another driving issue. I'm not quite sure, but now we got another guy who's come up who's projected to be a starter, and nobody's spoken up yet. Let's see, maybe by Wednesday night when we talk, we will. But he's been accused of, a lot of different things here. Unlawful imprisonment. I think that was an old charge from his Mississippi days. So they must not have vetted this guy very well. And now he's had some, I don't know if they're domestic issues or just, illegal things he's involved in. Will he act the same way? And there's a lot, and I'm not saying there's not problems in every program. I've defended Kirby in this. I've been on both sides of this issue. I don't like to flip-flop, but sometimes you have to because situations change. I've tried to defend Kirby because you can't police everything kids do off the field, whether it's practice field or whatever. They have a lot of time to themselves, and you can't watch them every second. But you can draft guys and you can hold guys accountable, and you can also be more careful and more diligent in who you bring into your program. At some point, the term lack of institutional control comes up. And when that gets mentioned, the first time you hear that mentioned, you know your program's in trouble. That hasn't happened here yet. I don't want to imply that it is or will be mentioned, but there's some red flags. Red flags. I worry about that. Kenny blocking out my face. The rest of the audience is very happy and says, thank you, Kenny. Kenny went to the Wendelstadt School in 1986 and saw first, I'm assuming that was 1986, not 1886. Kenny, and we're all old. We're old now. 64 guys in just 11 days. Went to Wendelstadt School in 86 and saw firsthand guys getting the nod over much better people. That's going back 40 years. So this isn't new. I thought your comment earlier implied that it was a new thing, but obviously I would think it's just gone on forever, right? Favoritism happens everywhere in the world. you know, almost every job you can think of, unfortunately, and it shouldn't happen anywhere. And it certainly shouldn't happen in the world of umpires. Kenny's saying they get the nod over much better people because they knew people, and even went to the airport and picked up guys that were from Kentucky. I'm assuming it was people from Kentucky running it. Maybe Wendelstedt was from Kentucky. Told us not to go to a certain street. If we did, we would not move ahead. Really? Of course, being the rebel, I went to get a t-shirt, excuse me, and who do I see but 5 of the teachers drunk as a skunk? They didn't even see me or the guy I was with. Well, there you go. And again, that unfortunately, that goes on in the world too much. Favoritism, nepotism. Kenny did several college games, couple of Mohawks. I didn't know you did the Mohawks. When they were in Schenectady, I see. And Tony Rossi. Tony Rossi from Siena, a legend. Same Tony Rossi, I'm assuming, Kenny, from Siena. He was a legend in upstate New York at Siena. He was there for about 4 decades. We played against Siena when I was at Hudson Valley. We played against Siena in just an exhibition game. Obviously, they were miles ahead of Hudson Valley as a program, and that was a very well coached team. Rick will take Jack's line and see when the truth comes out. Fair enough. That's easy to say though, because the truth often doesn't come out. That's the problem. Today, it's more likely to come out than any time in the past because it's hard to hide stuff forever. But to me, and again, Rick, I've spent a lot of time defending Kirby. I really have. He's obviously the top coach in college football. Georgia is now the top program in college football. There's really no debating that at this moment. But there just starts to get to be too many incidents. And again, I'll qualify that comment. You know, the whole thing where there's smoke, there's fire, right? There's just too many incidents. The problem is, it's the same as when I defend guys like Harbaugh, whether it's recruiting stuff or whether it's the sign stealing stuff, right? Everybody's doing this stuff. And if they decide to shine a light on you, they'll find stuff to hang over your head. And to me, it's the same thing here. Once the media or other factions start to smell blood in the water, they will start to look for more and more things to say, hey, see what I mean? See what I mean? When it's happening everywhere, every program's got its issues, and some more than others. I mean, we didn't know the extent of what was going on at Baylor under our Bryles until a really horrible incident happened. And then we find out it's been rampant, but not reported, at least not in the national media. So the stuff went on forever until it was out of control. And maybe it's a good thing these things don't sit and stew forever, because Kirby now has the opportunity to address it, where Art Briles just, hey, nobody's noticing, let's sweep it under the rug. Great. And that's an example of the truth coming out, and it came out way too late for a lot of people that were affected by the actions of the Baylor football players that were involved. I don't want to cast aspirations on or negative aspirations, if that's a thing, on guys who weren't involved. But there were a lot of guys on that Baylor football team who were doing a lot of bad things, and coaches knew about it. No more comments. 9:15, and I don't have a comment up here. This is something new, guys. Just because I said we need to wrap up at 10:30 or get close to it doesn't mean I don't want your guys' comments. This is your show. Bring it up. Drew, you got to have stuff. So again, I'll try to prompt you guys a little bit again. We're not excited at all about the Olympics, I'm going to guess. Give me yeses or nos. Don't we care about Katie Ledecky and her tremendous career. That's now what, 14 medals, maybe it's 14 gold, or no, 14 medals. 4 times she's won the same event in a row in the Olympics. Simone Biles, tremendous. I had a great time watching the 100 meters dash yesterday with that fine player from what's her name, Alfred from St. Lucia. We were just in St. Lucia. By the way, several countries contending for golds that never have won before, or even medals that have never have won before. I was in this February. St. Lucia, Grenada was in contention for a few medals. So if your country is struggling for for Olympic success, just invite me. Obviously, I am the good luck charm, and you'll start to do well. Otani, I really think Otani's got a shot at 50-50. Drew, help me out here. Or anybody else, Danny, Chris. I don't think anybody's ever gone 50-50. 40, it was 30-30 was a big deal at one point. Then Canseco was the first guy to go 40-40. Bobby Bonds missed it at least once by 1 home run. I think he was with the Yankees, actually. He went 39 homers, 40 are stolen bases. But there's been several guys get 40-40. I don't think anybody's ever got to 50-50. Oh, thank you, Drew. Drew corrects my Drew is my speaking coach, which he's failing at miserably, by the way. Aspirations are bad. Thank you. So I said it right. What's the difference? Just aspirations that's the same word, isn't it? I have this problem. I do this all the time. So I'll let some comments build up a little bit here. This is a great point, because once I learn what the word means, I often will do it on purpose. So I'm not a total moron. I did go to Perth, but I do know how to speak, and I do know how, like, leaves are not foliage, it's foliage. But I can't help but say it the wrong way just to watch my wife cringe. And there's a lot of words that I do that for. But sometimes I make a mistake. So I wasn't sure. Oh, aspersions. So it's not the word, we're saying word. I'm reading it wrong, right? Aspersions, aspirations. Okay, 2 different words. Now I get it. Drew, you're probably already typing away saying, you moron. What do you guys think about the boy-girl? What do you guys think about the girl-boy best another boxer in 46 seconds? This is a very controversial topic for several reasons. First of all, people are assuming that this is a transgender situation. But from everything I'm seeing and reading, unless there's a huge cover-up, which is not beyond reasonable doubt, she was born a girl. Her birth certificate says girl, female. Sure looks like a guy, right? But she participated in 2020, and I don't believe won a medal. If I'm wrong, somebody correct me. Now, again, I do not think in any way, shape, or form that guys who have transitioned to women should be competing in women's events in the Olympics or anywhere. I know there was some controversy about a swimmer. I don't think there are any other transgender athletes competing in the Olympics. I don't know for sure. I mean, this is a topic that has gotten so far afield, I can't keep track of what's going on. And I really don't care, except for I don't care how people want to identify. I don't care. If you want to identify as a, $100 bill and whatever, I just don't care. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't affect me. But I don't want to see, but there are things that do affect me. I don't want to have to learn a new way of addressing people I don't want to be judged because I call you by the wrong pronouns. I don't want to be put in a bad position. I mean, I don't know how people want to be addressed, and I just call everybody by their name now, so I'm safe. I shouldn't have to think. That makes sense. Sorry, I don't mean that in the general sense. But I also, so that, again, do what you want, but don't judge me when, I don't get it. But if you want to do it, that's fine. I don't care. Which, by the way, doesn't fly with a lot of the people that I identified with on the political spectrum. So they will call me, a rhino because of my views of I'm okay with, gay marriage. I'm okay with transgenders as long as it doesn't affect me. Maybe I'm a libertarian more than I am a Republican, I guess. But it shouldn't spill into sports. I mean, you're either a guy or a girl, and you compete as such. Now, I will say one thing, and I don't remember this ever in the Olympics, and just another aside. Really, it's not even the same topic. I don't remember these mixed relay events, which I think are really cool. I watched a mixed relay event in track and field, which was a lot of fun, and in the pool. That was interesting. It can't be the first time they've had these events because the announcers were not talking about like it was. Now, during the COVID Olympics, I didn't really pay much attention. Which is probably why people like Katie Ledecky, I knew the name, but I didn't realize she was going for 4 straight gold medals. And I don't remember the event now. What was the event she won in? And I'm going to get back to your comments in a second here. 800 meters. What a race, by the way. How long is it? You know how long that race is? Oh my God. It was like, it was 100. It's 8 trips up and back of that Olympic sized pool. It took 10 minutes. I couldn't make it half that one length, one half a length. So anyway, I don't know what to think of this, right? Because the claims are that this is a female. Luke Vogt report, 23 homers, 57 RBIs, 57. He's batting second. Where is he? The Mexican League? I hesitate to make any comment here because Chris was right. Jackie Bradley, when he was talking about Jackie Bradley playing for the Long Island Ducks, got signed by the Mets. He is in the minors. Where's their affiliate now? Syracuse. But I saw these guys. Here's the thing. They're playing well. Will they get it? And I know Chris's point is, they're playing well in these leagues and trying to get themselves another shot at the major leagues. But I've seen Luke Vogt play. Voigt. Sorry, another name I always add an L instead. It's the NL all the time. Luke Voigt play a lot before his major league career came to an end, and he can't play. Same with Jackie Bradley Jr. Go look at his last 4 years in the majors. They were awful. So, again, I'm happy for them that they're doing well. I'm happy he's still be able to play the game that he loves. And listen, I'd probably do the same thing. If I was on their level, I mean, listen, on a much smaller level, I kept playing the game as long as I could, even when I was, 35 years old and starting to deteriorate. My body was starting to deteriorate. And because I wasn't Luke Voigt's not a world-class athlete, but I was probably more like Luke Voigt than many other guys. But you try to hang on, and I was playing certainly a much less level there. And at some point, I mean, you can play at a lower level and you can play well. But I don't think he's going to be happy that doing that for a long time. Do you, Chris? I mean, if he doesn't, let's just say he doesn't sign with a major league team, And he's got to be on the roster by September 1st, by the way, to be able to be eligible for the playoffs. Anybody does. Bauer's there doing very well, too. And now he's a guy who probably could be playing effectively in the major leagues. And that's a different question, right? Luke Voigt isn't getting a job in the major leagues because major league teams have seen what he can do at that level. I'm happy for him. He's doing well there. Not a bad guy. Just I was happy when the Yankees got rid of him. He had his moment in the sun. And then, when he couldn't play, we discarded him. That's what happens to these guys. Bauer's a different situation. He could probably pitch in the majors today. Is somebody going to give him a chance? So we do have our Canadian correspondent, Chris, scouring the lower levels of professional baseball. And they are lower levels, quite frankly. I mean, let's be fair. But I would say that, what the Long Island Ducks in the Mexican League is probably fairly similar competition. A lot of pros trying to work their way back or are on the way out, playing these independent league teams like the Ducks and even here in the Tri-City Valley Cats and such. Drew's been following the Olympics. U.S. is doing okay, although China leads in gold. I think we got a pretty strong. We don't have like a 9. Don't we have? Well, that was yesterday. So let me see. What's the medal count right now? It should be up to date. USA's got 62 medals overall. So they've increased that lead substantially in the last 2 days. They have a 20 goal lead, not goal, 20 medal lead. In golds, it is, why do they do this? Why don't they put it? Oh, I see. It's in order that way. 16 for China. By the way, they could lose 2 of those, by the way, because there's at least 2 doping scandals that I'm aware of, where the Chinese may have some issues. I don't know if they were golds, though, quite frankly. I do believe there was obviously 2 gold medals that were won. I think one was a swimmer, so it might have been a bronze or a silver. Nice to see this hosting country doing so well, which is generally a trend. France is doing well with 42 medals overall and 12 golds. I'm happy when I see countries like the kid who won the decathlon yesterday. I thought was very interesting. What a grind these guys go through, right? And first time Norway has ever won a decathlon event. I mentioned St. Lucia has never won an Olympic event before. I don't know if they've even medaled. I know they've never had a gold medal. One of the surprises for me is the Jamaicans not really doing well in the track and field events, especially the sprinting events, which at different times they've dominated. The U.S. did get silver and bronze in the 100-meter dash that I mentioned. Richardson and Jefferson, a big surprise, actually medaling. So it has been, I think it's been kind of fun. I was kind of poo-pooing it, and my wife turned it on yesterday, and I got very, very involved in it. I like the swimming. I like the track and field a lot. I like to watch the basketball. And that was a close game until around just before the half. The U.S. started to pull away. In the second half, they never really were challenged. I think Canada is the only team that's going to challenge U.S. Maybe Serbia can give them a game. I'm sure they'll see them at some point in the knockout round. The only negative I've seen is Coco's meltdown. Yeah, that wasn't pretty. But again, she's still a kid, really. But played professional tennis long enough. It's an emotional thing, and it's not a good look when anybody has that type of meltdown, for sure. Also, what was the girl's name in the? God, it was one of the I think it was a medley race in swimming. Can't remember the girl's name now. Katie something, I believe. She got disqualified. She'd finished second, but she got disqualified because she made an illegal turn. She was doing a back stroke, I believe, and then had turned her body before she made her turn to go the other direction, and she was disqualified from that. No, it's 50-50. No 50-50 yet. That's what I thought. As long as Acuna keeps getting injured. And that's a great point, though. You know, Drew, as these guys start to get hurt, and somebody brought it up earlier. Maybe it might have been Chris. I don't remember. If it wasn't Chris, it was somebody else. Please tell me. At some point, these guys stop running, especially when they have and I'm not saying his injuries were because of running. I'm not saying Steve Trout's injuries were because of running, but when these guys are valuable with the bat, there's going to come a time they tell Ohtani to stop running. It may not be this year. And I got to believe he's got a realistic shot at 50-50. There's still, 50 games left? 50 plus games left? Where are we? 110 or 112. Yeah, 50 games. That's not out of the question. He could have 20 homers and 20 steals. It'd be a reach, especially the steals. I think he'll get to 50 home runs. Dodger Stadium's not the easiest place to hit home runs either. They let Grenier play, and he stop. That's not fair. That's not even the same. I mean, we can say we want about Brittany Grenier. And by the way, I do have some comments about Brittany Grenier. So Brittany Grenier, there's never been any question. She's a female athlete, right? I mean, so that's not fair. I get it. It's kind of tongue in cheek. I get it. Here's the thing. And some of the athletes have made some comments about Brittany Grenier and her stance still during the national anthem. Here's the thing. Again, another place that I often depart from the people who lean the way I lean on most things politically. I'm okay if you want to have your own form of protest. What I'm not okay with is in your whatever, during WNBA games or wherever you want to talk about it. Because again, who cares? People have died for people's rights to have different opinions and whatever. Don't go and represent your country and do it then. Stay in a locker room, do something. Or don't go. Or don't go represent your country if you hate your country so much. I'm okay. You know, we many people have fought and died for the right for people to protest, to do whatever they've got to do within within some kind of realistic boundaries, right? But again, why go play for your country if that's what you're going to do? That's my problem with Brittany Grenier here. I don't necessarily want to take her ability to make money to go away. I don't, again, when it comes to the whole national anthem thing, I've said this from the beginning. When we had the whole outrage, what was it? I don't remember when it all started. Obviously, right after Kaepernick and other guys started to kneel, and it became a whole thing. My point was, gosh, if this is so disrespectful, why did so many 1:00 games, 4:00 games? Now, you saw it during the Super Bowl and playoffs and whatnot. You would see the national anthem played. You see it during Major League Baseball games. But I would argue during the NFL season, especially when this was all going on, you weren't seeing the national anthem ever. They'd go to commercial. Is that not disrespectful to, in its own way? Not saying it's the same. But then we started to show it because all of this controversy was going on. So the networks do a great job of manipulating these stories, by the way. That's my point. Again, it's something that I feel kind of strongly on multiple fronts. Snell's no-hitter was impressive. He also didn't walk a lot of guys, right? If I remember right, Drew, what did he walk? 2 or 3 guys in this no-hitter? And that's la 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 la. And it's funny because I just got through bashing. And by the way, they took another great. I don't think he's throwing no hitter last week. The kid for the Reds, or what? Can't think of his name right now. He's on my fantasy roster. Steve. No, that's Stevenson. The hell's his name? It'll come to me anyway. What's very interesting here is, so I was on Major League Baseball. Let me finish my thought here. When Skeens was throwing a no-hitter, they took him out after 90 some pitches. Earlier in the year, there was another no-hitter being thrown. They took him up, took the pitcher out. Well, it's interesting now since I've been complaining. So maybe Major League Baseball is watching this show, thinking we got to get this guy off our case. I'd say that tongue in cheek, by the way. Now we got 2 no-hitters, complete game no-hitters by Snell and by. Oh, my God. Dylan Cease in the last couple of weeks. What's interesting is this is the first time Snell's ever reached the 9th inning. Congratulations on your no-hitter, Blake. But he struck out 11. What do you walk? How many do you walk? And it doesn't matter. No-hitters are no-hitters. I think Doc Ellis had a no-hitter with like 9 walks. Crap. Everything I try to click into here, can't see the box score. Well, somebody's going to put it up for me anyway. So the first time he ever got to the 9th inning, it was impressive. We should see more of it. That's my point. How do your best pitchers, the guy you pay the most money, never pitch the most important part of the game? Is that backwards? I don't get it. What do we got here? Kenny believes the Olympics lost their appeal when they split up the 2 up and they didn't play the same years. You know what? I kind of agree with that, Kenny. I remember at the time they did it, and it's been a while now, I think, right? At least, gosh, maybe it's 20 years. I don't know. Time goes so fast. I have no idea. But it's been a while, I want to say. And I felt the same way. And it's interesting you bring that up because I hadn't thought about it in a while. But when it's an Olympic year and you have Winter and Summer Olympics at the same time, I think it does generate more interest. I don't disagree with that at all. I like that comment. Top 4 qualifying hitters in the American League. Witt 345, Kwan 330. Kwan's still surprising me. He's a nice player. Judge up to 321. Judge not out of the Triple Crown race here, if I'm not mistaken, Drew. Let me take a quick look here. 3rd in average. Obviously, 1st in home runs by a lot. And he's got 10 lead in RBIs. Triple Crown possibilities for Judge. Guerrero at 318. I know Bess Otani at 309. Wow. That can't be right. Is that right? 309's leading the National League. It reminds me of, what was it? I think when Carl Yastrzemski, somebody correct me if I'm wrong here, 1967 won the Triple Crown. I think he won the batting title with like a 301 batting average. So he's got to be in the Triple Crown race as well. So he's leading in home runs, leading in average, and he's 7 behind in RBIs. We could see 2 Triple Crown winners in the same year. I think the only one who's done it in decades was Miguel Cabrera. Was there anybody from like Yaz? Somebody help me out here. Drew, you might be able to do it. Or Chris. We're good with these types of information. I want to say nobody did it from Yaz until Cabrera. I'm not positive about that. It feels like the right answer. So this is a little like 1967. This Triple Crown race in the National League. Drew still having a great year. I know you had mentioned before he was hitting over his head based on historical precedents, though I'm sorry to see I was right. Would have made a great story. Still a great story. He's hitting 298. It's not like he's fallen off face of the earth. Yes, he hit 229 for the month of July. It doesn't mean he can't bounce back. History says he won't. I get it. Right now, he's still a good story, right? All-star. Top 10 qualifying yard pitchers include only three expected ones: Burns, Skubal, and Wheeler. Skubal, I'll remind people, I picked for the Cy Young. Lugo, Sale, Flaherty. I mentioned Hunter Green. Thank you. That's the guy I was trying to think of, by the way. Pulls him. Hunter Green was dominating last Sunday. Dominating. And they pull him at 100 pitches. So it doesn't, what we're seeing, and he hadn't had a hard time. Because there's a hard 100 pitches, and then there's an easy 100 pitches, let's say. Right? And if you don't understand what I mean, I get it. But from what I saw of the highlights of that game, he wasn't working real hard. But they take him out. That's what we do know. He's pitched great, by the way. And Flaherty, I see Flaherty's name, and it makes me want to say, I can't believe I mentioned this to Drew on Friday. I can't believe the number of times I saw Dodgers acquire ace Flaherty. Well, that wasn't in, sorry. The headline said Dodgers acquire ace pitcher. Jack Flaherty's a nice pitcher. He's a fairly accomplished major league pitcher, right? Not a Hall of Famer. Never been close to a Cy Young that I'm aware of. He's never, and if he's been, I mentioned this to Drew. Drew said, well, he might have been the ace on his team. He's not what I would ever call an ace, right? Unless you're on a really bad team or have a lot of bad pitchers, he's not an ace. He's a decent major league pitcher. He pitched well yesterday, too, by the way. Scott Colby, welcome with us today. I know that Scott's going to meet Dewey Evans today, and he's going to mention to Dewey the wonderful TGI Sports Talk interview show, one-on-one with Keith Engle, and because I don't have a contact for Dewey. Chris, you had mentioned help me out. Oh my God. Boy, 64, almost over. I'm headed to the home. Kevin Mensch, Jesus, good grief. Mentioned Kevin Mensch, but I reached out to Kevin, and he's got connections for Darrell Evans. I've had Darrell Evans on the show a couple years ago. I would be happy to have Darrell back on. He was a great interview, great player, one of my favorites to watch back in the 70s, 80s. Played a long time, but he didn't have any connections with Dewey. Whatever. Don't care about her name. Don't care that much about her. Griner, whatever. Grenier, Griner. I to be honest with you, I don't give much time thinking about her at all. When it comes up in these discussions, then we talk about her, but she's certainly not a person I give much thought to. Now, I am disappointed, as I said, that somebody would go represent their country when they actually seem to have so much disrespect for it. I think this country's done pretty well by her, but that's just me. Pretty sure they got her out of a Russian gulag. Am I wrong? Did this country just get Brittany Griner or Grenier? Don't care what her name is. Both of them got released from a Russian gulag months ago. So, listen, I have a lot of problems with this country. It's still a great country. I have a lot of very strong opinions, as a lot of you do, which we won't get into here today. But it's still a great country. And maybe you should still be sitting in that gulag, Brittany, and you'd have a different opinion as you represent your country. I don't agree with what she does on a regular basis, but I'll let it pass because I don't think it affects anything. But whatever. I personally don't think you should have picked Griner. For his stance on the national anthem. Plus, we all know she uses pot. Well, Eddie, we're not gonna disqualify people for that last thing. But yeah, I mean, if I'm the Olympic Committee, I guess you're right. You know, I would think twice if I'm going to have somebody who's going to disrespect the flag. They're going there to represent. Then maybe I don't take her. The Olympic Committee deserves some fault here as well. And many of the other Olympic athletes, some of the women athletes anyway, have spoken up about this. And you see that they very happy to represent their flag as they drape themselves in it. So Anthony Price is with us. Good morning, Anthony. Good to have you with us. What happened to Gunnar Henderson after the Red Sox series? He hasn't been the same. I think the Red Sox poisoned him is what happened. He'll be fine. You know, he's a great, great player. What's he been doing? Where's his numbers still? I mean, the Orioles have struggled a bit anyway of late. What's Gunnar doing? Oh, he's at 288, 28, 67, 934 OPS. His numbers are still good. Last 7 days, well, he's 10 for 28 with 2 doubles and a triple. So, again, he's a great player. Don't worry, Anthony. I think you're an Oriole fan. JB, we know, is an Oriole fan. 3 walks by Snell. No, that's actually probably better for him. Well, 3 walks in 5 innings normally, right? So 3 walks in 9 innings for him is very good. I think one of the most interesting things in this whole thing is that, this is the first time he's ever got to the 9th inning. Tells you all you need to know about Major League Baseball and pitching today. That theoretically, one of the top starters in the league has never reached the 9th inning and to his how many years he played? 8? Thank you, Kenny, for bringing that up. I know Rick brought it up at the top. There weren't many people here. Amsterdam Mohawks win another perfect pitch league championship. Was it Friday night, Kenny? With a huge comeback down 8-0 after 4 innings. And I think they were still down 8-1 after 5. They went on the bottom of the 7th on a walk-off sacrifice. I saw you and Rick were commenting in the group chat, the TGI Sports Talk group chat, about that. Is raining. Certainly at our age, you got to stay healthy, man. So probably a smart move. I know if it was raining here hard. So I don't know what it was doing in Amsterdam, but it was not a good night to be out. And just a quick point, since we're talking about TGI Sports Talk's chat, which anybody wants to get in that chat, I'm happy to put them in. I started it a while back, and Kenny's in it, Rick's in it. I think Alan might be in it, but who doesn't comment too much anymore. I think Drew's in it. If anybody wants to be part of that chat, I'll be happy to invite you. You just got to let me know. Send me a message. Send me a personal message or something. Don't send messages to the TGI Sports Talk page, personal messages, because in Messenger, you can comment on the page, say, please add me to the chat or something, or send it in my personal messenger. Because the TGI Sports Talk Messenger is just full of freaking bots telling me my page is about to be taken down for 6 months now if I don't click on this link. How stupid do they think I am? So also, if you want to get in that chat, let me know. The TGI Sports Talk Fantasy Football League is up. The link is up. I have no way. I'm not sure how we're going to know who's still in from the 12 we had last year. So I guess if you guys were in last year and you could comment, I think, Scott, have you gone in and registered? You know when the draft is? We want to make sure we have 12 teams. I'm not so sure we will. And also this week, I'll get the pick'em up there as well. I haven't got a solid. I don't remember what we decided. Did anybody respond to me last week when I said, do you prefer? I know like Drew does a pick'em league, and it's all just win the game and you win. I think we've done the TGI Sports Talk with spreads. That way we had a little something different to look at, but I'm happy to do it either way. I really don't care. Correct on the last two Triple Crown winners, Cabrera and Yaz. Thank you, Drew. Sometimes the memory is good. Takes me, 5 minutes to remember a guy I talked to on 101 a month ago, Kevin Mensch, but 1967. Scott would know this. He hit 326. Yeah, the year he won a Triple Crown, right? Or did he win it? 67, he hit 326. He hit 301 in 68. My bad then. Okay. He did win a batting title, though, at 301. Am I right, Scott? Not a lot of people talk about what a stud Yaz was. I do whenever his name comes up here, because he's a guy that he got away from the Yankees. How this guy ever got away from the Yankees in the early 60s is beyond me. From Long Island, natural fit with the Yankees. You're so lucky. I always felt, and Scott, you can correct me. I mean, you're a Red Sox fan, but I won't say you're the average Red Sox fan, right? I always felt the Red Sox fans didn't appreciate their stars until they were gone. They had problems with Ted Williams, because Ted wouldn't, tip his cap and do whatever. I felt Yaz was blamed for some things of them not winning or being more competitive. Not a great leader. I know Fisk was appreciated he was there, but again, maybe the team more than the fans didn't appreciate guys until maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm totally wrong. It just felt like, Williams was more appreciated after he retired. Yaz was more appreciated after he retired. Yaz was a great player. Now, yes, he played a long time and compiled numbers, but Yaz was a great player and had some great years. And I think he kind of got looked at as, because he made the last out. I think he made the last out in 67 World Series. He made the last out in the 75 World Series. He made the last out in the Bucky Dent game. I think Yaz gets a lot of grief that he doesn't deserve. He's one of the great players in modern baseball history anyway. Both pitches made impact yesterday for the Dodgers. Who else pitched yesterday? So you like it. So Danny, I'll ask you the question. We were talking about the trade deadlines, right? So you guys can talk about your specific teams. Scott with the Red Sox, Danny with the Dodgers. Chris, you're a Yankee fan. I thought the Yankees had a pretty good trade deadline. I like Chisholm. I like Leiter Jr., former Amsterdam Mohawk, by the way. Danny, did you like the Dodgers? I didn't think the Dodgers did enough myself. I think Drew felt they had a good. Maybe they did enough because I somehow had left Flaherty out of my equation in the beginning. And listen, Flaherty's a decent pitcher. I'm not saying he's bad. It's not an ace. Stop describing him as an ace. Okay, Kopech Hernandez. All right, Kopech pitched yesterday. Pitched well. All right, so are you happy? Do you think your team's chances of winning are improved? And we got about 35 minutes if we try to wrap this up on time today. I want to get in the habit of wrapping this up on time because in a month, guys, I got to get out of here. I could go longer, but like 10 minutes longer, not a half an hour longer. And if I keep it under 2 minutes, I can also repeat this show on Roku at different times as well. So who else? I don't know. Drew and I talked about all these teams. Anthony or JB, if you're still here, you happy with the Orioles? I thought the Orioles had a kind of a weak trade deadline impact moves. Anybody else who's here has got a specific team? Kenny, I don't think you root for a specific team. I know you're not as big on Major League Baseball these days as some of the rest of us. Well, I'm not as big as I used to be. Top 9 pitchers and a whip below 1. Also have some interesting names. Gilbert, Skubal, Sale, Flaherty, Glasnow, Ober, Cease, Joe Ryan. There's some interesting names in there. Those are starting pitchers. All of them, I believe. I'm unsure about Ober. I think he must be, or Drew would not have. I don't think you'd include relievers in that stat. Has her outlook towards the USA changed? That's a question. No, it hasn't. It hasn't. As far as I know, she kneeled during the national anthem of the first game of the women's competition in France. Now, maybe I have bad information. And she still doesn't stand for the national anthem during WNBA games. That's fine. Again, this would be different than a lot of my brethren, on the right side of the aisle, right? But I would have a little, depending on my situation, you can protest. I just don't care. You can protest. People, have that right. I know we have the argument about the workplace and you couldn't go to work and do that and whatever. Well, the WNBA says you can. If your workplace said you could, then you could do it. Again, it's a country of diverse opinions, obviously. A lot of them I don't agree with. If you do, I'm okay with that. I'm never going to defriend somebody because we disagree politically or any other way. Sports can be divisive. But I think I'd be a little more humble if my country just got me out of a freaking Russian gulag. And if I'm the U.S. Olympic Committee, I'm not taking somebody who has her stance. So again, Danny, to your question, as far as I know, sorry, Chris, I'm going to take you back down for 1 second. As far as I know, and I can see, her stance has not changed. Blue Jays Stuart Barora recently was talking about being a rookie and step back in line. He's been with the Blue Jays program since 2016. 8 years, he's already met everyone. Even Marty Cordova agrees some of his rookie treatment could use an update. He's been a rookie for 8 years? Oh, he just haven't made it here. Yeah, I don't know. It's funny. I'm reading a book. I told you, or who was ever here when I mentioned it. I'm reading a biography right now of Ed Kranepool, lifelong or career long, I should say, Met. And he thought, I'm actually just to the part where he was talking about how he was treated as a rookie, and it wasn't very good. There were certainly guys that took him under his wing, guys like Gil Hodges and former Phillies center fielder Richie Ashburn. But a lot of guys didn't treat him that well. And he didn't have a lot of in common with a lot of the guys on that really bad Met team, by the way. But I think the way rookies have been treated has changed a lot. I don't think they're hazed the way they used to be. There's still some traditions that stand out. Football training camps, they have a talent show for these guys to put them in embarrassing situations. For the most part, I don't think it reaches dangerous levels. If this is what I think this is what you're getting at, Chris, and if you're not, I apologize. But I think it's changed a little bit. And then you've got the specter of the Northwestern saga still kind of hanging over the the sports world, and a lot of questions of whether that was all that it was portrayed to be. There's lawsuits and counter lawsuits. Would they let the runner because she tested for THC? I think it depends on what they test positive for. A lot of times they just say test for a banned substance. So I don't know whether, well, let's find out real quick, Kenny. Let's say, is THC banned in the, you like the Hooked on Phonics conversation? The WADA, whoever that is, lists the WADA prohibited list identifies marijuana and cannabinoids as substances that are prohibited in competition. And that is all I see here. Why cannabis is still banned. So yes, if she tests positive for THC, based on what I'm seeing, she would banned. They would be banned. Oh, maybe that was a comment. That was a question. My bad. I put a question mark on the end of that for you, Quinny. Sorry, you were making a comment, so I probably didn't need to look it up. Hey, she said he takes a paycheck from America. How about Phoenix doesn't pay her? And let's see how quickly she loves this country. Again, that is totally acceptable to me as well, right? So that's my point here. I believe that people do have the right to protest within reason, right? You can't burn flags and incite riots. If she wants to do these protests and the team that she's playing for doesn't want to pay her or fires her, I'm okay with that too. We're not going to allow that because in this country, the employers and most of the country anyway are right to work states. New York's a right to work state. I can fire for whatever I want. I couldn't go to work and protest that way. They'd fire me. Okay with that. They can't. It's not about my religion. It's not about my gender or whatnot. I mean, again, I can say that's not acceptable behavior. You know, so again, I'm okay with both sides of this argument. I'm okay if the team says you can't do that. I'm not going to get an uproar if she does it and the team allows it. I guess that's where I stand. I don't like it. But I'm not her employer. I can turn these games off. Here's the thing, guys. And again, I get tired of getting hit over the head everywhere I go with environmental messages. I hate it. Every movie I watch. But here's the thing. I've got a clicker. I watch a great series called The Rig on, might have been on Peacock. I can't remember. It was only 6 episodes, very short. And very good. I think there'll be another season. But there was an obvious, which a lot of movies have today. There's, a environmental message, which is fine. I mean, you can think whatever you think. I'm not saying you shouldn't believe what you believe. I believe what I believe. But I have the ability to click that off. If you don't like a message you see somewhere, turn it off. I mean, there's 9,000 channels I can put on. If I'll find something I can watch, right? If I disagree with Brittany Griner's kneeling for the national anthem, I can turn the WNBA off and never watch. I don't spend a nickel on the WNBA. What do I care? I'm not supporting them as it is. People can stop supporting them, and Phoenix can stop paying her, as Scott says. So I'm okay either way. Do what you want, and I'll turn you off if I don't want to. People complain about celebrities on award shows. Turn it off. Why are you watching it if you don't want to hear what somebody has to say? I disagree with a lot of it. I either listen to it and say, what a jerk, or just move on. Same way in social media, guys. You don't agree with stuff people say. You don't need to unfriend them, right? I've had this conversation with a lot of people, and I've seen a lot of people. I may have been unfriended. I don't know. Not by anybody I care about, I can tell you that. I've never unfriended somebody for what they put up and comes up in my feed, because you know why? There's this little thing next to my feed on Facebook or on Twitter or wherever I am. It's called a scroll button. Scroll right past it. We need to agree to be that we can disagree. And I was so happy last week. I don't know why. I think it was last weekend or the week leading up to last weekend. Social media was flooded with messages about being able to disagree or agree to disagree and not ending friendships or breaking up families or whatever over people having different belief systems or opinions or whatever it is. I mean, I respect everybody's opinion to be wrong. That's a joke, by the way. I do respect people's opinions. I don't have to agree with you. If you want to unfriend me because I don't agree with you, well, that's your choice, and I feel bad for you. I'll never do that. Never. Padres 263, Red Sox 262, Astros. Yeah, where's the on base percentages? 334. Those are okay. A little surprising Yankees are up there that high. To me, those numbers should be higher. There's too many teams hovering around 300. Braves 3.45. This is ERA. I think Major League Baseball would be happy if this were around 4. They want runs scored, and I don't get it. I don't get a lot of crap we do in Major League Baseball. Since 1968, when I lowered the mound, I've said this. Almost, now I've said in the past every, and I shouldn't use absolutes, I guess. Nearly every rule change or even ballparks being built, every one of these things that have happened have been in the favor of the hitter. Lowering the mound, DHs, smaller ballparks, harder baseballs, different bats, all favor the hitter. Doing away with the shift. Don't teach your hitters to do it right. Just take away the shift. Smaller bases. So the pitchers are always at. So I think Major League Baseball would be happy if this number is closer to 4. Don't use spider tack, though. Don't protect where you're putting a danger by giving them no ability. And again, you're going to spin this and tell me that it's just because they can get guys out. And I'm not saying they don't use it because it helps them, get more spin on the ball and whatnot, spider tack. But taking it away, Garrett Cole made this comment. He says, look, I throw the ball 95, high 90s a lot of times, and there are times without some help, I don't know where that ball is going to go. And guys are going to be at risk, and somebody's going to get hurt. But Major League Baseball is very short-sighted. September 1, 6:30. What is that? What is that? Oh, the draft? Yeah. Thank you. Is that what you're talking about? I think that's probably right. I did say the first prize in the pick'em was $2.5 million. I didn't say $2.5 million what though. God. $2.5 million visits from me the rest of your life. I don't want to discourage people from getting in and pick them. Why not do both points and no points, then have a grand champion? So I'd have to set up 2. You'd have to have 2 different. Just to be clear, Kenny, we could do that, but I've got to have 2 different pick'ems in. I can't guarantee that everybody's going to get in this. Well, I guess it would be there's a disadvantage if we're going to have a grand champion. But it'd have to be 2 separate pick'em pools. I can't set it up to do both. We could do confidence points. which I guess puts two different elements in. And I could do that in the same pool. You could have just pick a winner and then confidence points. So you can acquire more points for some wins than others, right? So I don't mind doing that. I like those are kind of fun to me as well. Yes, he did. You were right. He did at 301. That's Yaz winning the batting title, hitting 301 in 1968, which is when they decided they needed to make all these Let's start throttling these pitchers, by the way. You're right. Red Sox fans never appreciate them while they're here, but when they leave, they love the heck out of them. I felt that way my entire baseball life. But quite frankly, as a Yankee fan, George Steinbrenner always loved guys after they left too, and he loved other guys' players more than his own. That's why Andy Pettitte walked away. That's why Bernie Williams nearly walked away and went to your Red Sox in 99 or whatever it was, 2000, 98, 99. Really scag, right? Dodgers, don't say IL. We don't use IL here, Danny. It's the DL. I mean, seriously, somebody explain to me, are there really disabled people out there that are offended because we said disabled lists in baseball? It's shocking. Anyway, Dodgers IRDL, still too many on it to win a World Series. Well, the flip side is when those guys come back, if they come back, I'm assuming a lot of those guys are going to get healthy and come back. Then you've got an influx of good players coming back, similar to what you do at the trade deadline, right? So I still like the Dodgers. I don't know why. Phillies on a 6-game losing streak right now. Again, do I think the Phillies are going to continue this? No, I think the Phillies are the best team in baseball. I think that's clear. But it's also very clear that they need a healthy Harper, and he hasn't been hitting lately. And, look at everybody's going to go through these little streaks. They played a great baseball. The lead to the Braves, I think, was at 9 or 10 at one point. It's now 5. But the Braves don't have enough to catch the Phillies. The Mets don't have enough to catch the Phillies. I think the Phillies are playoff tested. They've done very well. Last year, they didn't make it to the World Series. 2 years ago, they made it to the World Series when we didn't expect them. And to be quite frank, as I've said on this show many times, of all the teams we talk about in playoff contention, I think the best manager there is Rob Thompson. Believe me, I will tell you, this is not, I didn't have the show at the time. This is not, 2020 hindsight when I tell you Rob Thompson should be managing the Yankees right now, because he should have been hired when Joe Girardi got fired. I said it then, but I didn't have this platform to scream it from the mountaintops. But again, I think the Dodgers, and I think I don't think I'm wrong in saying this. Dave Roberts is going to get fired if he doesn't get to the World Series. I think Dave Roberts has done a great job. Dave Roberts won 100 games last year with every one of his pitchers spending extended time on the disabled list. He's got them in first place comfortably, right? What is it today? Still 4.5 game lead. The Padres are hot. I get it, but the Padres are known to fold too. They're going to win 90 plus games with all these injuries. I think Dave Roberts has done a great job, but you got to win unless you're Aaron Boone. Or I'm bashing the Yankees again. Anthony's scared the Yankees might take number 1 spot over to Aurora. Yeah. My problem with the Yankees is, they could win this division. I'm not confident we've done enough to change things. And be able to score runs, and maybe we can do that. We got an athletic guy now like Jazz Chisholm, and if the bad parts of Jazz can be harnessed by this veteran Yankee team. He can help them produce runs. You got to be able to produce runs when you're not hitting home runs. You can't rely on two guys to just hit the ball out of the ballpark, and the rest of them have, on base percentages down in the low 300s or worse. I keep hearing the guys saying, well, the Yankees are so much better now that Stanton's back in the lineup. Stanton's Dave Kingman, which might be a shot at Dave Kingman right now. Every time he has a couple of home runs, people fall in love with him. I was on Mac and Jack, and the first thing, and Jack, for whatever reason, he loves Stanton. I don't know why. Maybe he doesn't love him, but he told me that they started winning when he came back. I think it's a coincidence, by the way, because Jack Chisholm was also in the lineup around that same time. Yankees before, and they started losing, and he said that's how they're losing because Stanton's not in the lineup. They were 3-10 in the 13 games before he got hurt. God, I hate that. There's John Gonzalez from the Sports Authorities, who we love so much. Good morning, John. Mets acquisition of I like Blackburn. I like what the Mets did. I think we talked about that in a positive light on Friday. I like Blackburn. The Mets maybe I'm not as big a fan maybe of Winker as Drew was, but I think Blackburn is a good pickup. I just don't know if the Mets got enough starting pitching to hold on here. But they played well, they find a next guy up mentality and they find ways to win games. Speaking of old school Yankees, I picked up a Don Larson autograph card. Nice. The only pitcher to pitch a perfect game in the World Series is correct. Don Larson was also in attendance for the Yankees' last perfect game, pitched by David Cohn. Orioles inning eaters. Elfin will help the team, I guess. It all depends, right? We have different opinions. I think Trevor Rogers has great potential, has not lived up to it, and has been hurt. And Elfin, he pitches, keeps teams in the game. I mean, Drew and I both had this thing about the term inning eaters. If you suck and you eat up a lot of innings, is that good? I think Elton will be okay, as Drew says. Rogers hasn't been since 2021. Sometimes a change of scenery can help, especially when you're getting out of such a bad situation as Miami. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Was he in Miami or was he? Yeah, Rogers was in Miami, correct, Drew? I don't have my stuff in front of me here, but I think he came from Miami. So he came up with getting out of a situation like that can be an elixir for players. There's Paul Spada, our Boston fan out there in Wisconsin. Good to have you with us this morning, Paul. Grinder. Did stand for the PA International. Okay, I'm fair. That's fair. Again, I read one article where some guys, and again, I may have mistaken what they were saying. There was some other, there was comments about the players and them showing the love for the flag of their country and comparing it to Brittany Griner. So again, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I would hope, and I don't believe it's true, that her overall opinion of her country has changed a lot, even though they got her out of a situation where she was going to spend her life in a gulag. But again, that's her right to say. I mean, I don't, there's a lot of people out here that I don't agree with. If we had a country made up of people that I agree with, it'd be a small group of people. What was that? Did say for playing Ashland. What is that for? LA. Ed Kranepool from the Bronx. Yes, it's a really good biography. I guess we'll call it an autobiography. He had he's telling it in first person, right? But he has a writer, obviously. But it's interesting. It's very interesting read. I got it for, like I said, 99 cents on Kindle. So maybe it's still there. If you use Kindle and you like sports biographies, this is a good one. Well, I'm doing well, Paul. How are you, my friend? You could say Kranepool was a lifetime Met rather than a career time since he came up at 7. Yeah, but he's not still a Met, I guess is why I stopped. Kranepool talks too a lot that he considered leaving a couple of times. He wished he hung around for, and again, this is from excerpts of the book. He wished he hung around a couple of years or maybe taking. Listen, Ed Kranepool was a decent player. He was not a great player. Never turned out to be a great player. Great pinch hitter, one of the best pitch hitters of his era. He had a couple of decent years. Got sent to the minors. He came directly to the Mets, but then went to the minors after a few games. Then was still back with the team at 17 years old and 18 years old. They discussed trading him at some points, which I haven't gotten to that part in the book yet, but he was a New Yorker who stayed in New York his whole career, and I guess his lifetime. And Ed and his wife both have had some health issues in recent years and seem to be doing well. He had to have I think a kidney transplant a couple of years ago, but he appears to be doing well. And he's a guy I've been trying to get on the show. And unfortunately, my connection to Ed Kranepool passed away recently. Maury Bauer, by the way, Maury Bauer is a good friend of the show. Helped me get Roy White on the show and was working to help me get Kranepool and Swoboda and trying to think. There was a whole handful of guys he was going to help me get on. And he had some really serious health issues and sadly passed away here. I want to say a month or two ago. So our thoughts and prayers go out to Maury's family. Anthony, I don't understand. Rookies have to treat the whole team to dinner. Their checks. Well, that part of that is stupid. I agree. I'm okay with, go up and sing your college's, your alma mater's fight song or, do a rookie talent show or lack of talent show might be better. Too early to say, but Jackson Holliday at least looks more comfortable around this time. Well, he was only 1 for 7 when I looked the other day. I don't know what he is here recently. What did he do yesterday? Just for giggles. He did hit a grand slam home run. Let's see. Let me get to Jackson Holliday. I love the kid. I mean, listen, people, again, you can speak to this, Anthony, if you want. A lot of the groups, that Baltimore groups were really bashing Jackson Holliday. And he's no good. And they were talking about trading him at the deadline. You got to give these guys a chance to. He's up to 146. Nice. Sorry. You got to give these guys a chance. Willie Mays was awful when he first came up. He was like 0 for 24 and 1 for 30 something. So yes, I think Jackson, and I think he'll still contribute to this team maybe in the second half. It seems like anything goes in these Olympic Games. I like what I'm watching with the sports that I like. I stick with what I like. I'm not going to watch a lot of breakdancing, right? I'm not going to watch a lot of flag football or even the golf. I love watching golf. I'm just not into it here. Flo, how you doing, buddy? Happy Sunday to you. We just had one of your brethren on here, Cam. What was it, Can? Help me out, guys. Anyway, Flo, I mentioned Flo and the guys at the top of the show, and I will continue to do that unless my 64-year-old brain says, what are you talking about? The Bottom Line Sports, Flo and the guys do some great stuff there. I want to share more shows if I can on my, because you let me share every one, Flo. And if you do the share and share it to TGI Sports Talk, I will make sure it gets posted. I just don't remember to go to your page and share your show. So I'm happy to do it because you guys have supported me so well. And it's great content too, guys. I'm telling you, really good stuff that they do over there. And I'm proud to be affiliated with them. They're you can catch them on YouTube and in Facebook, I believe. Flo, you can correct me if I'm wrong. And they're part of the Let's Talk Sports Network that we were part of for so long. And my good friend Dan Harris was a great contributor to my show, and he and I collaborated on a lot of things. And I'm still sharing my show to the Let's Talk Sports Facebook page, but not sharing live to YouTube because I didn't want to put all my eggs in that basket. I just, I'm looking out for my followers who I've got, 2,200. We get, even this show does 2,000 views once I share to Facebook groups that are so kind to me, like Bottom Line Sports, like the Sports Authorities, like America's Pastime, and many, many, many more. And I can't turn my back on them for, again, it might turn into something great. And I know it will with Tanner over there and some of the great content from guys like Flo and Nick Botkins and Scott and Alan. Just a personal decision on my part. I still hope to guest over there on some shows. I enjoy it when I get together with those guys. I was on with Alan not that long ago. Fantasy baseball update. Thank you. We're always excited here. Keith and the Nail Biter 99. I was behind yesterday, so we made a little comeback. Rick has been killing Drew all week, 16-1, but now it's 13-7. He's got to go on a big run of 10 plus point wins a week to get anywhere near contention. Flo disagrees with me about disagreement. Well, again, I respect your right to disagree with me. I'm a very disagreeable person, so I hate it. I mentioned this before, and now we're going to go long. I know we are. It's okay. I do want to get into the 2-hour window so I can start posting to the Roku channel this show and on the and some of the other spots I fill with replays, but that's fine. We'll get to the 2 hours. I hate them. I brought this up. If you watch the Hall of Fame game, and I get it, it's early yet, the players don't know where to line up. I don't think the referees know what's going on. Let's look at some of those stupid rules. Where the hell is it? I brought this up. I know it's here somewhere. There it is, right here. First of all, let's start with the onside kick. You can't onside kick when you're ahead. Why? You have to announce you're going to onside kick. They didn't make it hard enough when you couldn't overload one side of the field. They said, now you got to announce you're going to do an onside kick. How stupid. I wish we'd gotten into this sooner. Let me go through some of these rules. They want to promote more returns, which I'm okay with. How about just going back to the old rules? Kick for the 40. Or kick for the 35 and just have old kickoff rules. So anyway, here's the rules. The ball's kicked for the 35-yard line, same as the current rule. Safety kicks would be from the 20-yard line, same as current rule. I don't even know what the hell that means. All kicking team players other than the kicker will line up with 1 foot on the receiving team's 40-yard line. So they're out in front of the kicker. The kicker cannot cross the 50-yard line until the ball touches the ground or a player in the landing zone or the end zone. So they can't just run. They got to stay back. Not that they're a huge part of kick coverage anyway. The 10 kicking team players cannot move until the ball hits the ground or a player in the landing zone. So they're worried about guys flying down the field and it being dangerous. This is just, nobody even knows the rules. You see the lineup, them line up on kickoffs, it looks so weird. The receiving team will line up as follows. Setup zone, 5-yard area from between the 35 and 30-yard line, where at least 9 receiving team players must line up. At least 7 players with a foot at the 35-yard line, called the restraining line. With alignment requires, I don't understand. I don't even know what that means. Players not in the restraining line must be lined up in the setup zone outside the hash marks. All players in the setup zone cannot move until the kick has hit the ground. So both sets of players cannot move until the ball hits the ground. The players on defense, other than all the kick coverage guys, all the kick blockers, return team blockers, can't move until the ball hits the ground or somebody touches it. All players in the setup zone cannot move until the kick has hit the ground. I just said that. A maximum of 2 returners may line up in the landing zone and can move at any time prior or during the kick. Oh my God. Landing zone. Landing zone is the area between the receiving goal line and the 20-yard line. Any kick that hits short of the landing zone, treated like kickoff out of bounds, is spotted at the 40. Any kick that hits in the landing zone must be returned. Must be returned. Any kick that hits in the landing zone and then goes into the end zone must be returned or down by the receiving team. Then it goes to 20-yard line. Guess the same rule. Kick hits the end zone, stays in bounds, returned or down, goes to the 30-yard line. Any kick hits in the end zone, stays in bounds, returned or downed. If downed, the touchback goes to the 30-yard line. So now touchbacks are to the 30. Why don't you just put them on the 30 to begin with? Any kick that goes to the back of the end zone to the 30-yard line. So they're encouraging teams not to kick the ball out of the end zone. I'm okay with that. I like to see returns. But the rest of this stuff, if conditions cause the ball to fall twice, then the kicker will be allowed to use a kicking stick to keep the ball in place. The closer, so that way you got to have all your players still up where they belong. Onside kick. Fourth quarter begins, then trailing team has the opportunity to. You can't onside kick before the 40-yard line or for the fourth quarter. They have to declare an onside kick to the officials. Current onside kick rules would apply, so you can't overload one side. Kicking team penalized, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you don't have to be. Yeah, it says trailing team. So only the team behind can onside kick. You can't have a surprise onside kick at out of the half. Let's say like the Saints did against the Colts in the Super Bowl. They ended up losing. No, they ended up winning that game. But if you remember, Sean Payton called an onside kick coming out of the locker room at halftime. Can't do that. Anyway, safety kick. The kick will be kicked from the 20-yard line. The kicker will have the option to use a tee. The setup zone and the landing zone will not change. What the hell? God, I need a freaking... Oh. It's ridiculous, right? With today's rules for hitters, got to respect Snell for no even more. Listen, I respect Snell's. I'm shocked, Danny. I've said this several times. This is his first time he's ever pitched in the 9th inning, which tells me all I need to know about pitching and how we treat him today. Paul, go to I'll repost it again, but go to TGI Sports Talk and scroll through some of the shows, and you'll see the page there. In fact, let me do something right now before we go. Here's how you can get in. I want anybody here to go and get in. Let me go to Yahoo. Hold it. Bear with me, guys. I'm going to try it. I should have got this keyed up to go before. I don't know why I didn't. I'm going to put the link, hopefully. TGI Sports Talk, standard draft 9/1, 6:30 p.m. Hopefully, I'm going to give you a link to this page, and hopefully this works. Here it is, Paul. It's going to be in the and I'm going to repost it again on the page. I'll reshare the old one. Why is this not? going. I think it just went. I think it's in there, Paul. If it's not, I'll repost it. I promise you, and we'll go from there. So get in, Paul, Danny, Chris. I know Scott's in. Random question: why Reggie Wayne not in the Hall of Fame yet? Good question. I don't know. Maybe he has not. I don't know when he retired. Maybe he hasn't exceeded the wait time. But I think Reggie Wayne is probably a deserving Hall of Famer for sure, Anthony. Great player. Kenny Gifford, next up, the kickoff returns will adopt the rule just to touch the return. Rick said earlier, let's put it make it like Pee Wee football. Just put the ball on the 30 and be done with it. No kidding. You obviously, first you make rules because, by the way, the kick return is one of the most exciting plays in football in my mind. And they deemed it one of the most dangerous. So they tried to take returns out of the game. Now they say we need to put returns back in the game because they're so exciting. You're the ones who took it out of the game in the first place. Why didn't you just put the rules back to what they were? Instead of putting something in that nobody understands. Nobody. There was at least 2 flags. I didn't watch the whole game, quite frankly. The Hall of Fame game. It's just, too many guys that'll be, delivering beer next month. I'm sorry, that's not fair. That's, but whatever. But there was at least 2 penalties that I saw. I don't think the coaches even know how to coach the guys on this yet. Football flag rules, but only on returns, right? It probably is a flag. Is that a football flag rule, or I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not, Drew? But I wouldn't be surprised. Freaking rules committee. Rob Manfred and Roger Goodell should both go away now, today. Yeah, that'll be the quarterback too. Good point, Kenny. Drew and Kenny agreed. Political correctness gone awry is ruining the U.S. to include sports. Just see injured list compared to disabled list, Flo. One of the most egregious political correctness gone awry situations I can think of. Just stupid. Maybe not egregious. Maybe the stupidest. One thing that bugs me is hair outside the helmet. Then bitch when someone grabs them. Well, you can't complain if it's your hair's out. I agree 100%. Wrap it up in a bun like I do. Yeah, it's Keith's Patriots too, unfortunately, Flo, if you haven't picked up on that during my shows. No, these stats. No, listen, right now, I think that Jacoby Brissett is a decent bridge here, and I'm going to let Drake May sit maybe the whole year, depending how things go. Listen, this is a team that they need more weapons for whatever quarterback's going to play in the future. And that's going to, if it's Drake May, which it has to be, or we really messed up again, there needs to be more weapons. I think you're going to see a lot of Stevenson this year. I think Stevenson stays healthy. He becomes one of the top 5 backs in the league. And Jacoby Brissett, while I wasn't excited about Alex Van Pelt being hired as the offensive coordinator, Jacoby Brissett had arguably his best season in Cleveland with Van Pelt as his offensive coordinator. I think Drake May should not start. I mean, this is not a situation where, Mac Jones was miles and miles ahead of Cam Newton, and Newton didn't even know the playbook, and they had no choice. And quite frankly, that worked out well because Mac Jones played really well in his rookie year, and they made the playoffs. What happened after that is well documented by me, and the coaching staff should be embarrassed. So I said, I mean, you might put them in here and there just to get a feel for the game. This is a team, their defense is still really good, Flo. And This is why the show goes long, right? Because I get asked questions about things I'm really interested in, and I keep talking. It's an interesting team. I mean, everybody thinks they're going to stink and finish last in the East, and that's probably the most likely scenario. I said earlier in the show, I am very, very upfront about what I think my team's chances are. I'm not going to tell you that this is a Super Bowl contender. I'm not going to tell you that they're necessarily a playoff contender, except to say, again, the most likely scenario is 4-13, 5-12. I do see a scenario where if everything goes well and some of the younger receivers step up, Stevenson really stays healthy and produces, and Brissett doesn't lose games, manages his team well, and this defense is as good as it should be, especially with Matthew Judon, despite his little issues here the last couple of weeks with his contract, and Gonzalez back healthy. They were good without them. They'll be great with them. I can see this team. I looked at the schedule, and we'll look closer at this at some point. I can see them winning 9 games. Again, that's best case scenario, perfect storm stuff. So I'm very realistic about my teams, and again, I'll give you that opinion. They're most likely to win 4 or 5 games. I can see a scenario where they can find a way to win 9 games in a perfect world. Rodgers was part of the pitching machine without Gloria Estefan. Danny agrees with Kenny. I would definitely have no problem grabbing that hair and pulling him down. No problem. There is a lot of it. That's for sure. Yeah, Canteen. That's where we go. Can for short. Thank you, Flo. Glad to see him in today. Glad to see any of you guys in. You guys do some great stuff, and I'm happy to support you guys. And just to reiterate where you can find Bottom Line Sports, YouTube, Facebook, and X. Live on X, because I stopped going live on X, Flo, when they said I had to pay. I might still pay. I don't know. But we'll see. Macman Sports. Mac from Mac and Jack Show. National Streaming Sports, I should say, more accurately. I'm not going to watch the breakdancing. No. The ballroom dancing, maybe when it comes back, because I'm a well-known ballroom dancer. You can ask my wife. I like the gymnastics, because like when I watch the vault, that's kind of how I get into bed at night. If you can picture that. Here's Flo's stuff. I disagree with you. Very agreeable. Very agreeable. Thank you. It depends on the situation I'm in, the people I'm with, and the topics we're talking about. Oh gosh. So after a 2-point safety, the kicker punt rule is the same as the old days. As far as I know. Again, I'm still trying to digest everything I read here. Does it say anything here? Current kickoff rules would apply. That's the onside kick penalty. Safety. The kick. Oh, I guess safety kick. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what they mean by safety kick. I'm sorry. They were referring to safety kick before, and I thought it meant something else. The kick will be from the 20-yard line. The kicker will have the option to use a tee, which he doesn't have the option now, I don't believe. The setup zone landing area will not change. So that means they're going to kick from the 20. All the guys will be on the 40-yard lines and standing there and can't move until the balls are touched and whatnot. So the balls. Don't touch you guys' balls. No good. The new rule. You like these rules, really? Except those last 3 that just came out. Only in the fourth quarter, you have to be losing and have to be announced. So that's all stupid. I agree. This is the most egregious part of it, Flo. I don't like the other part of it because it's not necessary. You could have just put the rules back the way you had them before you said it was a safety concern. But they still think it's a safety concern, which is why they're not going to let guys move. Football's a game of fast moving action, flying bodies around, big hits. You support big hits. You see it on ESPN all the time. You know the NFL's signing off on, jacked up or whatever they call that. You got jacked up, whatever they call it. Just put the rules back the way they were. I kind of like the fact that, I'm okay with bringing touchbacks back to the 30. I'm okay with that. Actually, I'm not okay with that. Well, I don't know what I am. I want kickoffs, right? I don't want to encourage teams to take a touchback so they get it at the 30. But I don't want kickers to kick it through the end zone. And it only comes out to the 25 or wherever it comes out to now. Well, it's a 20, right? Who gets the kicking stick before they run? I think that, like, similar to when there's a tee out there, somebody runs out there and picks it up. They got a kid. That's his job. He runs out there and picks it up. Right? Can you see it? We're going to have some guy impaled on a kicking stick during a return. Guys, I did post a link. This should take you to the homepage for TGI Sports Talks Fantasy Football League. I'll get the link up for the pick'em. I'm considering right now, based on Kenny's comments, I'm not going to do two. I don't want to do two different pools, just because I don't want another one to fill out. I'm considering no points and confidence points. So you would rank every game by how confident you are that team's actually going to win. So there you have it. And I'll repost it on the TGI Sports Talks page and my personal page as well. Hester went in to the Hall of Fame, and for me, it is his return skills. There's no other reason Devin Hester's in the Hall of Fame. Billy White Shoes Johnson should be in the Hall of Fame. It's an important part of the game. I was on some show, and maybe it was yours, Mac. I don't remember. Somebody was deriding the fact that special teamers would make the Hall of Fame. They should. It's an important part of the game. How many times you see games determined by who plays better special teams? It's an important part of the game, and the teams that are not winning aren't paying attention to it. And guys who are great special teamers should be in the Hall of Fame. Matthew Slater, just retired from the Patriots, should be a first ballot Hall of Famer in my mind. I'm sure Scott Colby will agree. Florida Pats won't be starting Drake for maybe a bit. He's not doing well in training camp at all. He hasn't had a horrible camp. He's had some horrible days for sure. It was like 1 for 6 with 4 interceptions, I think, Thursday or Friday. You saw the training camp. So yesterday he wasn't good either. There's no reason to rush this guy. Again, the expectation should not be that my high watermark, right? Should not be the expectation for this team. The expectation is we're going to win 4 or 5 games. Let Drake May learn, sit and watch the game, get used to the speed of the game. You've got a capable bridge and Jacoby Brissett, and we'll just take our chances. That's okay. I'm guessing you're talking about Patriots. 10:49 now. We'll get there, I promise you. I'm going to get there because I have to. But for now, I like so many guys come in late, and I like to get their comments in. Flo's been contributing, and Scott's been contributing, and outside of being able to reshare the show, if I go over 2 hours, you can't reshare it on Roku. That's the problem there. But that's not a huge deal. I can still reshare it on all my other outlets. And I can reshare other content on Roku. The bigger problem is once football's here, I've got to be out of here by 11:10. I need to do a few things before I go. So we could still go long to 11:45. It's now 10:45. We'll see. There's just so much to talk about. It's great. When you guys are carrying the show the way you are, that's what I love about this show. I told you before, I love shows. Flo's show on Bottom Line Sports with the whole panel, all the panels on National Streaming Sports, a lot of the shows on Let's Talk Sports. multiple guys. I enjoy being part of those panels. This show, I enjoy you guys being my co-hosts. I love this. This format, it took me so long to get the Sunday show to where I want it to be. And this has been it. And the feedback has been tremendous. The viewership has been tremendous. Your guys' participation has been tremendous. And I like to get to it. I don't want to leave stuff hanging. So as we get closer to me having to get done at a reasonable time, I'll start saying, if I have to leave comments, I will. Leave comments behind, I will, but I don't want to until I have to. But thank you, Kenny. I'm going to have to. So, Rick gave me an update. I didn't catch it. It was on Facebook last week. He gave me a countdown, like 5 minutes left at 25. And I do appreciate that. And you guys understanding that at some point we'll have to do that. Anyway, Flo's a Cowboy fan. I'm sorry about that. No, I'm just kidding. Can the Cowboys be the first to repeat as NFC East champs in 20 years? I don't think we had a bad offseason. You got to get CeeDee Lamb in camp or you're not winning the NFC East. But I see the Cowboys are over a barrel. They're going to have no choice but to pay him. Maybe it's happened and I missed it. I don't think I did. They got to pay him or they have no season. He's not sitting out a season. So. And if I missed something, I apologize because I didn't dive into that situation at all. But all things said and done, yes, I think they will win. I think the Giants finished second, by the way. I think the Eagles finished third and the Redskins will get better, but be last. I think there's bigger problems in Philadelphia than they want to admit to. That's what I think. There's great talent on that team, but I think there's some problems in the locker room with the quarterback, with the coach. Hey, why don't we just line up the kicker against the returner? Hey, I like that. That sounds fun. Flo, did you ever play special teams? It's a very high percentage that the kicks are out of the end zone. They are, and now they're going to come back to the 30. So another 5 yards added to it. I want to see returns. I don't want anybody to misunderstand what I'm talking about. I want to go back to the rules where push the kickoff back further if you have to. Make it from the 30. You want returns? No, but we don't want violence. It's the most violent play in football, according to statistics, and the one that players are most likely to get injured on. Football's a violent game, isn't it? Isn't that why half the people tune in? Half of them are watching the betting, half of them are watching the violence. It's probably a little simplistic. It's a violent game. You take the violence out of football, you don't have football anymore. You got flag football. They will kill the golden goose. I'm just watching women's flag football. Much better. Have a great week, Joe. See you later. It rains on and off every day. Next week, we promise to get you. Nah, I don't want you guys to stop giving comments. Don't stop giving comments. Maybe I got to stop going off on so many rants. I love this format. TBL, they can. You just understand they lose in the first playoff game. That's for the Cowboys, I believe, Flo. So Kenny's saying status quo. Waiting for the slap on the head to remind you. My wife. I mean, get a hook. She doesn't care. She knows I'll be up there, and she knows I love her. Flo, I see a path to this to be a disastrous season for the Cowboys. I mean, really disastrous. CeeDee Lamb not accepting the contract offer by now means they need to send him a new offer. They have to sign CeeDee Lamb. There's no way CeeDee Lamb's sitting out, and there's no way the Cowboys are moving him. I don't think. If they do, it could be a disastrous season. As Scott said, and I didn't say disastrous before, but I did say they're not going to win. Never played special teams. Flo never played special teams. Rick, I agree with if you let them kick it further back. Yeah, just let them run and hit people. That's what you do in football, right? You run and you hit people. And you play to win the game. I got a little Herm Edwards cadence going here. Which would you rather watch? Women's lingerie football. The NFL. Unless they make it worse. If they make it flag football, then I'll watch lingerie football. I'm glad you said women's lingerie, by the way, Scott, because, not that there's anything wrong with that. Just saying. You like the new college football playoffs? I do. Watch Thursday night. The college football huddle will return Thursday night on all of my channels, Facebook, YouTube, Roku. No, Roku, it'll be repeated on Thursday and Saturday morning. But we'll be back with the college football huddle. We've been on hiatus for a couple of weeks in July. But we'll be back, and I'll talk more about that. I do like the new college football playoff. I would structure it differently, which I'll get into more on Thursday. Again, I've talked about it and it's been sued by, threatened to be sued because I stole it from Basement Bob. Basement Bob lives with his mom, I think, and one guy bought this book he wrote like a dozen years ago. But I'd like to see 16 teams, all the conference champions in. That's only 10, and I got 6 at-larges. I want to see a real tournament like the NCAA basketball tournament. That's what I want to see. I did know you. I think you meant women. I knew you meant women. I can only hope it's a nice way that the cowgirl. I can only hope in a nice way. Cowgirls to have a terrible season, just like the Cubs are having. Go Brewers. Danny, you can't root for more than one team. I guess you can. CD has no option but to play unless they trade him. But I like her. What? Yeah, see, everybody. Some Cowboy fans have told me this. I don't like that receiver room without him. I like those guys with CD there, but I don't like any of those guys stepping up because you're not as good without a CD Lamb on the field. That's right, Flo. I mean, you take away the number one option. Somebody else got to be the number one option who's better as a number two option because of the guy who's at number one. I sound a little like Kamala Harris talking right now. Scotty Scheffler, come on. He was playing horrible yesterday. He's gotten to the lead today. God bless him. Schauffele was playing great yesterday. I think he was tied for the lead after yesterday's round. Today's the final. Go, Scott. I love Scotty Scheffler. Got to go myself. Good luck with the PT. Steve, I hope you're doing okay. I know you said you underwent another procedure this week or recently, so I hope you're doing well. And my thoughts and prayers are with you, my friend. Us Perth guys all stick together, right, Rick? Love beach volleyball. We know why you like beach volleyball, Rick. Same reason my son-in-law does. I'm not a big fan. I'd rather watch regular volleyball. Yeah. Two favorite teams, the Dodgers and whoever plays the Cubs. I like that. That's fair. Cowboys are worried about receiving when they should worry about the quarterback. No, they don't need to worry about the quarterback today. Right now, they need to worry about the receiving. Yeah, I know you don't like. Why is his name escaping me? Oh my God! I'm telling you, it's getting bad, and I'm a little worried. I may have to go to the neurologist here pretty soon. Oh my God. We all know you hate the quarterback, but the fact is he's going to get $60 million a year from somebody. It's going to be the Cowboys or somebody else. Jalen Tolbert can't be number one, and he's never played that role and can't be successful against a number one cornerback. Well, there's number one cornerback. That's why you're better off. All these guys are better when the number one guy's there and things all kind of, filter down. We're going to wrap it up here in a second, though, guys. Great show. Love the Dollar blue jacket you have on. It's just a top, not a jacket, but, We have several colors. We'd like to mix them up. We brought the Dodger blue out for you today, Danny. Everyone was saying the same thing when we got rid of Amari Cooper. Well, you had CD Lamb. Well, again, we don't know what you got until. Thank you, Danny. Jesus. Dak Prescott. I like that's a hard name to remember, right? Oh my God. Isn't that terrible? Sometimes I just have these fleeting moments where I think, I'm about to, All right, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. I appreciate everybody, all your comments. Go get on the TGI Sports Talk fantasy football page, please. He says go gardening now. Thank you, Scott. Oh my God. Oh, I love it. I love this show, guys. I love it. I love all you guys and your comments, your contributions. We'll catch you Wednesday night, as I said, with the return of the college football huddle. I just realized I never once put up my banner. I'm having a bad day. Guys, have a great Sunday. We'll see you Wednesday night with the college football huddle. Friday morning, 101 with Keith Engle. Brian McCray, former outfielder with the Royals, the Cubs, the Mets, the Blue Jays. Gosh, who knows who else. See you later.
You're listening to Keith Engle, the host of TGI Sports Talk on the National Streaming Sports Roku channel.